So in the last TikTok, I was talking about speech. I left off saying I would continue in the next TikTok. So with speech, there are a lot of things that annoy people. So you want to do your best to not like click too much with your tongue or like talk too slow, like talk too fast. It can also be bad. Some adults and like I don't know, older people don't like when people mumble or like not project their voice. Now, another thing is if you're a girl, a lot of girls don't talk loud enough. A lot of like black dudes sometimes mumble and talk really quiet and like they don't enunciate. Like, um, you also don't want to project too much because then that scares some people. Because a lot of people, their throat's dry or their breath smells. And if you're talking like in person, like this distance, like you can't smell my breath from this distance. If I'm if I'm like exhaling too much into your face, that's gonna annoy you. Another thing is when you're holding your breath when you're talking, you're not like you can still breathe in with your mouth. You're just exhaling down with your nose. Like when I sneeze, often it goes down a little bit forward, but mostly straight down. So if you sneeze, it shouldn't be going forward onto people. Don't cock your head back. Uh, um. Now, the other thing with speech is if you're upset, um, oftentimes people don't like it when people raise their voice, but people don't like it also if you change your tone, if you start getting violent. Raising your voice is probably the least offensive. They're all offensive, but if you have to, just raise your voice maybe 20 decibels. If you already talk loud, still raise your voice because you can say, "Oh, I wasn't raising my voice. This is how I normally talk." Even though it wasn't, like they shouldn't be having a problem with you raising your voice if it's their fault and you're just trying to correct them and settle the situation. Like if you're wrong, then apologize. Like don't argue, don't raise your voice. But if you're talking to someone who's just bullshitting, like always wrong, then I would say raising your voice is appropriate in that scenario. But here's the other thing I want to talk about in this second TikTok. I might go back to talking about voice later. But if you go like out somewhere and you're getting food or whatever, and let's say there's a bunch of really nice food, and let's say you can afford to eat all of it, don't get all that food because no, wait, let me put it this way. So uh most people aren't trying to gain fat. Like let's be honest, most people like this is me, right? I'm not trying to gain fat. I'm actually trying to lose some fat. But when you apply that to everything else, let's say you're fapping and there's a bunch of good porn and you can fap through it all. Just like you went out, there was a bunch of really nice food and you couldn't afford to buy it all. Like, don't indulge too much. Like, you have to exercise moderation. Um, okay, back to speech. So with speech, you don't want to, you don't want to conform to norms, stereotypes, generalizations. This I've talked about with other things, but especially with speech. If kids are all goofy, silly, immature, don't conform to that. And if adults are all extra serious, or they joke with other adults only, don't do that. Like, conforming is not good. My nose is itchy. If you, if you have like a, if you have, like, how do I want to say it? So you can conform in the sense that you're young, you're energetic, you're a learner, like if you're 10. If you're like my age, you're not learning anymore because, like, whose parents are still teaching them stuff when they're 25? They're not. But if you're like 10 years old, then I would say that, you can still, conform. But when you're my age, like, you're not conforming anymore. Because you're such, if you progressed in life and your, traits, then at my age, you're like already, there's nothing left. Like, cause look at everything. This is the last 30 seconds of the TikTok. I'm dropping some amazing bombs. So, look at all the things that there are. There's your abstinence, there's discipline, motivation, hardworkiness, ethics, morals, all the different traits. You have all that by the time you're 25 if you were working on it during your growing years. So there's nothing left. Once you're 20, 25, 30, you're done. You're done.